We just bought a Chinese motorcycle from Amazon, and here's why. Cue the intro. Dawn's middle son, Hayden, moved back in with us a couple of weeks ago. There's a few reasons for it, but he wanted to pursue an education at a local college from us.
Now, he'd always wanted to ride a motorcycle, but he never got a chance to go out and do his licence or had any money or anything like that to go and buy himself one. Besides, he split up with his girlfriend. So we were going to just basically get him out on there and teach him how to ride. Now, at first, I was just sort of going to put him on Shay's bike, her Kawasaki Vulcan S. I mean, that was what Dawn was saying. You know, just put him on that bike for a little while until he does his test.
I sat Hayden on Shay's Kawasaki Vulcan S 650 and taught him a few basics on motorcycling, but it never sat well with me. Now, teaching a young man to ride a bike like that is an absolute no-no in the UK, and my conscience was screaming at me to get this new rider off such a powerful motorcycle.
Now, some of you are looking at a 650 and thinking, what, powerful, what, huh? But believe it or not, they really are up there if you're a new rider.
Besides, it wouldn't be fair if he dropped it, because it was Shay's bike and it was her only transport that she had to get her to and from work. I've argued with riders in the past about the best way to learn to ride a motorcycle, and from my perspective it's always been start with a small size motorcycle and then just work your way up incrementally.
You know, from a 250 to a 500 to, you know, a 750 or 1,000, and then sort of just do it that way. Now, some of my viewers, you know, you may well have been learning to ride on your 1000cc super sports bike or your, you know, 700 pound Harley Davidson, and it may have been no effects or ill effects to you whatsoever, but it doesn't mean that everybody who does it that way is going to come off okay. They're not. Statistically, they'll kill themselves. So I decided that, like, if we're going to teach Hayden how to ride a motorcycle, that we're going to do it properly. We're going to put him on a little wee bike and do it that way.
Over the course of a few days, I found that there were no suitable bikes for sale. I searched the Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist and Cycle Trader for up to 500-mile radius, and there was absolutely nothing. No Rebel 250s, no Yamaha V-Star 250s, nothing.
I went all the way up to like 500 miles, and the only bike for sale was in Illinois that sort of fit the bill. Didn't have a lot of money, so, you know, a couple of grand or something, but there was absolutely nothing on there.
I even reached out to the guy who sold Shay's old V-Star 250 to see if he wanted to sell it back to us, but he never responded.
So then I got in contact with, you know, Shreveport Cycles, and yeah, they didn't have anything either. The only bike that they had was a Kawasaki Z400, and they wanted 6 grand for it out the door. Now the thing is though, yeah, maybe if you've got 6 grand in your back pocket, then you can do that and not worry about what happens if he drops it.
Basically, for you, any sensible reason that you can think of for this shortage of motorcycles would be of some sort of merit.
Just by pure chance, you know, I stumbled on like a YouTube video with some guy who bought a Chinese motorcycle, and I thought, why not? I mean, how bad can they be?
I couldn't believe it. They were selling motorcycles on Amazon up to 250cc adult street bikes for cheap. Granted, they were Chinese bikes, but for the most part they all had pretty decent ratings. A typical street motorcycle from Amazon was around 2,300. The popular bike was the Lifan KPR 200. It was a nice sporty looking learner's bike. There were some YouTube videos on that bike demonstrating the size, the looks, the speed and reliability of those bikes, and to be honest, I was really impressed.
They were going for a song. I was like, okay. Now I went with this bike, the KP 200, because all the rest of them, although they were somewhere in the region of the same sort of price, this bike here had free shipping. So it was going to be 2,300 plus about 300 in tax and free shipping, so 2,600, which on my Amazon store card was going to just be like about a couple of hundred a month, like 220 a month, and that was like for a year, and it was like interest free for a year. So, you know, sod it. Why not?
The order was placed, and here we are.
It was like about a week and a half later, I get a call from some shipping company that said, yeah, we got a guy, he's on his way to bring the your package to you. He'll be there on Friday between 12 and 5. Awesome. And so there it was. It came in a box that me and Hayden went and undone. We got out of the box, we got out the crate, we assembled it. And here she is, a fun little bike that's, you know, doing 60 mile an hour. Seems to be holding her own. Yeah, so I'm happy.
Chinese motorcycles often come with a stigma attached, and for a time it may well have been deserved. It was said that they would fall apart as soon as they were put together. You could hear them rusting overnight, and you'll be lucky if the engine lasts for more than a mile. And yes, some people still have bad luck with them, but that could be said with any motorcycle or manufacturer. But it seems that the Chinese industry is getting their act together and making some half decent motorcycles. You cannot expect to see top shelf quality from these manufacturers, and nor should you. But what I'm seeing here is a pretty decent attempt to make a bike that will last long enough for Hayden to learn, then pass his test on, and then use for a while as he looks for a bigger bike. Then to repeat the process with any other friends or relatives who want to learn. It took an hour to get the bike out of the shipping crate and put together, and it was pretty easy to do.
The only thing I did though was that I changed out all the fluids. I changed the oil and I changed the coolant. Because I don't know how long this bike had been sitting in storage before like the oil was came up. I mean, this bike is not going to win any. It's not going to win any races. But the company, like Lifan, or I think they're pronounced, apparently they do have a bit of pride in their bikes and they do win some. Yeah, so here she is. The KP200 by Lifan, or Lifan, with no license plate, but she is insured. Oh, insurance, guess what? So I called them up and I said, right, I got this bike. And after a bit of searching and messing around, they eventually found out like what they were going to charge for this bike for insurance. And it was just going to be, get this, $15 for $15 for 6 months. $15 for 6 months. So basically, yeah, $30 a year gives you liability insurance on this bike. Single cylinder 200cc machine. Yeah, she's holding her fluids. Alright, let's run her back.